Hey everyone, Mommy Zanny here, and today we're diving into some seriously exciting Wuthering Waves leaks, spanning all the way from version 3.1 to version 3.6. If you've been craving updates on upcoming characters, reruns, and just a little bit of spicy speculation, you're absolutely in the right place. Let's jump straight into version 3.1. Phase 1 introduces Aemeath, a 5-star fusion sword DPS with a really unique mechanic. She can switch between her base form and a mech form, which already sounds wild. Her gameplay revolves around Toon Rupture and Fusion Burst Resonance modes, building synchronization and resonance rates to unleash heavy resonance liberation damage. The more details that come out, the more she feels like a high-skill, high-reward carry, and that's always exciting to see. Sharing the Phase 1 banner is Chisa, a 5-star Havoc supportive debuffer and healer who uses a broadblade. She looks like one of those characters you might underestimate at first, but the more you think about team compositions, the more valuable she becomes. Strong utility, healing, and debuffing all wrapped into one kit is nothing to ignore. Joining them is Lupa, a 5-star fusion sub-DPS broadblade user who absolutely thrives in mono-fusion teams. She boosts fusion damage bonus while shredding enemy fusion resistance, which is honestly huge. If you're committed to a fusion-focused roster, Lupa feels less like an option and more like a necessity. Moving to Phase 2 of version 3.1, we have Luuk Herssen, a 5-star Spectro Gauntlets DPS with a heavy emphasis on aerial combat. His entire playstyle is built around staying airborne, chaining fast basic attacks, teleporting between enemies, and applying Toon Strain to generate Ichor flow. Once that Ichor flow hits the required threshold, Luuk enters his Aureate Judge state, and that's where things really ramp up. His plunge attacks and execution skills get massive boosts, turning him into a relentless aerial menace. If you love high-mobility gameplay, this one is hard not to get excited about. Also appearing in Phase 2 is Galbrena, a 5-star fusion pistol user whose kit revolves around stacking Sinflame and Afterflame. Once those stacks are fully built, she transforms into her demon hypostasis state, which, let's be honest, sounds just as flashy and destructive as it looks on paper. Next, let's talk about version 3.2. This update introduces Sigrika, a 5-star arrow DPS who uses a sword and specializes heavily in echo skill damage. What's especially notable here is that Sigrika is expected to be the only limited character releasing in version 3.2, which might make this banner a very focused pull decision for a lot of players. Alongside her is Qiuyuan, a 5-star arrow sub-DPS and support who also wields a sword. His role centers around providing significant team-wide echo skill damage buffs, making him a strong synergy pick, especially if echo-based teams become more prominent. There's also some talk that this version might include a new 4-star character, but details there are still pretty unclear. Moving on to version 3.3, things start getting a little more mysterious. Phase 1 is expected to feature Lucilla, a 5-star Glacio DPS. Phase 2 introduces an unknown female 5-star fusion support. There's speculation that she could be a dedicated support for Aemeath, potentially specializing in fusion burst effects, which would be a very interesting direction if it turns out to be true. On top of that, Morny may be receiving a new skin in version 3.3, which is always a nice bonus. Now, version 3.4 is where things really go off the rails in the best way possible with a full Cyberpunk Edge Runners collaboration. This is the kind of crossover that genuinely makes you stop and reread the leaks. Phase 1 features Lucy, a 5-star Spectro hybrid DPS using gauntlets, and Phase 2 brings Rebecca, a 5-star Havoc support. Even just imagining how their kits and visuals could translate into Wuthering Waves is honestly kind of surreal. Next up is version 3.5. Phase 1 teases an unknown female 5-star Havoc DPS, while Phase 2 introduces an unknown female 5-star Glacio support. There aren't many concrete details yet, but the element spread alone makes this version worth keeping an eye on. Lastly, we have version 3.6. Phase 1 is rumored to introduce an unknown female 5-star Electro DPS who may be a Threnodian Resonator, which is a pretty big deal if that ends up being true. Phase 2 then follows up with an unknown male 5-star, rounding out what looks like another very stacked patch. So now that everything's out on the table, I have to ask, who are you pulling for? These upcoming versions are packed with tough decisions, whether you're chasing flashy new main DPS units or eyeing supports that can completely redefine your team comps. Every update seems to push Wuthering Waves further forward, and if these leaks are even partially accurate, we're in for an incredible run of content. If you're feeling the hype like I am, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next wave of updates. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Stay curious, stay excited, and I'll see you in the next one.